Hey guys, it's me Greg and welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about cultural differences between Sweden and the UK because lots of you guys have been asking, did I notice anything that was different or a little bit strange or unusual to me when I first came to Sweden? And I thought I've got to cover this in the video. So as you've probably worked out by now, I'm from the UK originally and I moved over to Sweden about a couple of years ago. And when you move to a new country, something that you're bound to notice is some, differences between what you're used to in your own country and the culture in the new country that you're living in. And when I came to Sweden, that was no exception. Although we're close neighbours, there's lots of things that aren't quite the same as what you're used to back home. And today I thought I'd count down some of those differences for you on a video. Before I get started, I should just say as a disclaimer, these are just some early reactions and responses I had when I first came to Sweden. I'm not saying it's good or it's bad or anything. I'm just giving you a bit of a commentary on things that I saw and what my reaction was to it. And I'd love to hear whether you agree or disagree or whether you had similar experiences down in the comments below. But anyway, let's get into it, shall we? What are the big differences between the UK and the Swedish culture? One of the first things you notice when you come to Sweden is everybody seems to have a summer house. Yet one thing you'll get used to hearing a lot when you come to Sweden is the term sommarstuga, which literally means summer cottage. And everybody's got one, whether they use it in the summer to travel out to the country or in the winter to go skiing in the mountains. Everybody's got a second house. It's just not something we're used to in the UK. Yeah, back in the UK, if you hear that somebody's got a second home, you begin to think they're pretty posh. Whereas out in Sweden, everybody's got one. To be honest, it's quite a nice idea because it's a really cool way to be able to get out into the countryside and enjoy yourself a little bit more, really make the most of your own surroundings. In the UK, I think we take that for granted too much and we spend all of our time traveling away, trying to get out of the UK, when actually we don't appreciate what's just around the corner. But this brings me to a related point, which was the surprise to me when lots of people tell me that their summer house here is like 20 minutes, 30 minutes drive away. Now that is strange to me. Why would you have a home in the city here and then just outside in the country have a second home? I understand if you want to do it, 3-4 hours away up in the mountains to ski, for example, but why would you do it in the same town or in the same municipality area? The second big cultural difference I noticed was the use of language. And I know what you're thinking, come on Greg, of course they speak a different language in Sweden. That's not what I meant. No, in Sweden, cuss words or swear words are used as if they were just, a normal part of the pleasantries in your language. Whether you're sat in a meeting with your work colleagues or going for fika with some friends on a Thursday afternoon, you'll hear terms like fan and huit thrown around like they mean nothing. And okay, maybe in England we're a bit more prude with the way that we use swear words. I know in America it's even worse. People are shocked when they hear you throw these terms around, but you'll just hear them all of the time here. So all I'm saying is bear in mind when you hear the term fan, they're not talking about your followers on social media. And another funny one for anyone learning the language is the word slut. Literally spelt S-L-U-T. Lots of us have a bit of a chuckle when we learn that word or when we see it at the end of a film. The difference is here in Sweden it means finish or end, it means something else where we're from. For my third cultural difference, I'm going to play on a bit of a British stereotype. We've got this big reputation for being greatly into our alcohol. Everyone spends every night down the pub. It's not for this video to get into whether that's true or not, but let me tell you, buying alcohol in Sweden is a strategic mission. Yep, in Sweden there is a state institution where you have to go if you want to buy alcohol. Yep, the state has a monopoly on all alcohol sales through this chain that is called Systembolaget. And since the state has the monopoly, it means that they can choose where it's sold, how much it's sold for, what hours the shops are open. We've all been in that situation where you're studying or you're meeting with friends and you're about to go out to the club and you think, you know what, I'd like to get some pre-drinks. Just a few drinks to keep you going so it's cheaper when you get to your dance floor. In Sweden, you have to plan ahead. Why? Because Systembolaget shuts at 7 p.m. and at 3 p.m. at the weekends. In fact, on Sundays it's not open at all. So if you want to drink, you need to know in advance. You need to plan it. And that actually brings me on to another point that hasn't made it onto my list today, but in Sweden you make your social plans about a week in advance, and maybe this is why, because Systembolaget is only open at certain times, and if you want to drink, you need to know in advance. People need to tell you so that you have the chance to go. And don't even get me started if you live out in the country, because then you probably have to travel 20-30 minutes, maybe more, to your nearest Systembolaget. And during the pandemic, it's literally a no-go, because each town probably has 2, 3, maybe a handful of Systembolaget shops, and there's huge queues outside. You have to queue for 20, 30, 40 minutes if you want to pick up your alcohol. So not that I would say that I drank a lot of alcohol in the UK, but I definitely say I drink less now, just because it's not so easily available. So I guess they get exactly what they want. Well done, Swedish state. The fourth cultural difference is something I really didn't expect to be a problem. So you've probably heard that the UK has a reputation for using old, archaic ways to measure and count distance and things like that. Yet, whilst over on the European continent they're using kilometres, we're still using miles. But then when I came to Sweden, there is such thing as a Swedish mile or a Swedish mil. And as someone from the UK, there's me thinking, great, I finally found people that understand and use the same type of metrics as me. But let me tell you now, it's just a huge false friend. The best way to make this this point is during my first summer living out in Sweden, I had a friend come to visit and we decided wouldn't it be nice to get out into the nature and go for a hike. We looked up a route, drove out into the middle of the Småland forest, and then we started our 5-mile hike. Now any Swedes that are watching this will be chuckling away by now, maybe the rest of you still don't know what's going on, believe me, I didn't. 3-4 hours later, we're still walking, and me and my friend are thinking, how have we not found the end of this route yet? It was only going to be 5 mile. After 5 hours of trekking through the wilderness, wondering if we are ever going to get back to our car, I look up on my phone and realise that we are nowhere near. In fact, we're going in the total opposite direction to where we left our car. So that's when I decided to get my phone out and do a little bit of digging, and that's when I found out that a Swedish mile is 10 kilometers. So no, we weren't doing a 5-mile walk, we were doing a 50-kilometer walk. No wonder we hadn't found the start again yet. And it makes sense why they have this metric. If you live in the north of Sweden, you can spend 50, 60, 70, 80 kilometers traveling between different towns. There's a lot of space up there, and there's great distances between the different localizations. But to those of us from smaller countries, like me from the UK, this is a totally foreign concept. And from one kind of distance to another, that brings me on to my 5th cultural difference for the day. But today we're talking about the distance between people. Yep, you might think I'm making a corona reference, but believe me when I say if there's one country that was prepared for the pandemic before it happened, it was Sweden. You've possibly seen loads of memes all over the internet of people at a Swedish bus stop where they're stood as far apart from each other as possible, keeping that distance. And believe me, that wasn't staged for the pandemic, they've been doing this for years. But it's not just at the bus stop that you'll try and keep your distance from other people. Oh no. If like me, you live in an apartment building, expect not to know who your neighbours are. Now I gotta level and be honest with you here, to me from the UK this isn't a totally foreign concept, because maybe we will know the people that live on the same floor as us, but we're unlikely to know other people in the same building. Whereas if you live in Canada or America, I'm sure you're a lot more cosy and friendly with your neighbours. Whereas here in Sweden, it's not uncommon to have no idea who lives in the same building as you. Yep, I genuinely couldn't tell you a name of one other person who lives in this same building as me, apart from my girlfriend, and that's because she lives with me. Yep, it's no joke that as you go to leave your apartment in the morning to go to work, if you hear another door open, you close and you wait until they've gone. You do not want to meet in the lift or in the stairwell. It's a no-go. And it's something that's been played up in a number of different TV shows, but it's absolutely true. And it's not because you want to be unpleasant or because you don't like the other people, you genuinely just don't know them. And you kind of like it that way. You want to stay in your bubble and you don't want to get to know the people around you. And you'll find it's the same in the towns too. If you go for a walk in one of the local parks or something, you tend not to smile at people that you run into, you tend to just pretend that you didn't see them at all. So yeah, that was 5 cultural differences that I noticed when I first arrived in Sweden, but there's loads more that I could go through, I just don't have time today. So if you found this interesting or had a bit of a chuckle along the way, let me know in the comments below if you would like to see more videos like this in the future. And of course, if you've moved abroad, either to Sweden or somewhere else, I would love to know what cultural differences you noticed when you first moved to your new country. Anyway, that's all I've got time for today, so make sure you drop me a like, and then if you haven't subscribed yet, I would love if you could do that. Make sure you turn on that notification bell so you get told every time I put out a new video. I try to get them out a couple of times a week, and it would be great if you were there ready to watch them as soon as they come out. But yeah, that's it for today. All of my social media information is somewhere on the screen for you right now. It would be great to see you there. I share pictures from my adventures here in Sweden fairly often, and as I say, I'll be back soon with a new video. In the meantime, all there's left for me to say is I hope you have a great day, and thank you for stopping by. See you later, guys.